Yes. Hi. I'm the last one, and I just want to say I enjoy all of the presentations. I'm learning a lot. Throughout this presentation, you will see I'm a new extension agent, and I'm doing this hoping that someone can use this information that has been very, very helpful to me. And for that, I want to start saying that I'm the urban horticulture agent here in San Lucie County, and I'm also the Master Gardener Volunteer Coordinator. And if you're looking into more of like leadership position that I immediately did not know that was involved when having a group of volunteers, just want to say that you do not have to have all the answers to be a leader, and that you need to recognize when something is not working and have the courage to ask for help, create a space for honest feedback, and also to be willing to change. So when I started my position here in Urban Horticulture Extension, I came in with all the technical expertise. I had ideas and I had a lot of enthusiasm for the work. But very quickly, I learned that all of that technical expertise is only one part of being an extension professional. So here we do way more than just like teach about plants or insects in my case. Um, so I was learning that leadership requires like understanding people, even more if you work with volunteers, the system as a whole, and how to communicate, how to have this capacity to sometimes recognize that the word that we're doing some things needs to change. So today I really want to share about the leadership journey rather than simply a program success story because I'm still working on that. So hopefully in a few years I can come back and say everything that has happened after this presentation. And my goal for today is to leave with one practical idea about what you need to do when you are like a early career professional and you encounter challenges in your programs that you did not anticipate. And also, I'm going to show you an example of the structured approach that I have been using to identify like organizational challenges, engaging stakeholders, and also to develop people and systems to increase all of like the extension capacity. So one of my first realizations was that being good at your technical field does not automatically prepare you to lead a program. And for example, I have experience in entomology, invasive species, biological control, and research. So in my master's, some part of my undergrad, and my whole PhD with entomology. But then coming here to extension leadership, it brought me a completely different set of questions. Some can translate to research, but most likely the questions I had in here were more like in the social aspect. For example, how do I prioritize when I want to write a report for the county, but then I have volunteers that need some answers? Then also, how do I delegate? Before it was always like, this is my set of data, this is my dissertation. And now is I need to tell people what pieces of the work I need for them to do that can help me succeed. And then also, how do I communicate expectations? Working with volunteers, I'm learning that it's a little bit complex because they're here volunteering, they want to do what makes them happy, but at the same time, we need them to do things that help us with our reporting and also to educate our community. And then also how to build a team. And this is more specific into how do you build a team when you walk into a program that was already running before you get into the place. And then also, how do I recognize when something is a personal challenge versus a system challenge? Those are all the hard questions that I've been dealing with, but have really helped me to change the point of view or how do I see a program. And perhaps for me, the most important question is like, how do I know when I need help? Um, so I think this is very important for early career professionals because sometimes we feel like because we are new, we have to demonstrate that we can handle everything ourselves. But I learned quite the opposite. For example, when knowing when to ask for help, I don't see it as something as weakness, but most like a leadership skill because that's why the reason is so many of us because we all focus on something different, and we don't have to know it all, but we can recognize when I can ask for help to someone that knows more about this area that I may be lacking. So I see that asking for help can really means asking someone outside or immediate office to help you see a situation differently. And then I promise I have some pictures coming up. It's not that boring. So here, for example, here in San Lucie County specific, we start noticing an increasing demand for plant and insect diagnostics that can help us with issues regarding plant health to termites. I got a bunch of termites and I'm like, okay, I need help. So I partnered up with Fort Lauderdale. They have been incredible with answers and to help me how to identify them. Also, wood-boring insects. I had people coming in here with questions that they think something is living in there that is killing the tree, but it just happened that after the freeze, we had many opportunist beetles that were just getting into the dead material and then causing that pollen-like feeling of the wood, but they were a different kind of insects. And then also household pets. The amount of pictures for roaches that I get is crazy. So there's also a lot of questions coming from environmental stressors. Like I mentioned, the freeze that we had at the end of January, beginning of February. And then at the same time, recognizing that, yes, it's great that we get all of these questions, but at the same time is that we do not have unlimited resources. Like specific in this program, it was me. Now I'm very lucky. I do have a program specialist, but at the time, I realized that the solution was not simply for me to personally answer every single question, but because we will eventually reach a ceiling. I wasn't gonna be able to help everybody timely. So then I started asking different questions, like how do I increase capacity without simply increasing my individual workload? So I know many of you might feel like this picture that I'm showing here, because sometimes you have to be doing it all. But I'm learning slowly that we do not have to. So that question really changed how I started approaching the program instead of asking questions like, how can I do more? Like, am I really bad at this time management thing? But then I started looking into how can I start building a system that is going to allow us to do more. And for that, already things came back, more questions. Every single day I'll be driving home and like a new question, like, oh my gosh, I forgot to answer this email. But then having these specific questions really helped to narrow more, like how can I find solutions as well, not just asking questions to myself. For example, there's always someone that needs an answer, that needs a diagnosis for the plants. Someone needs a program. We have the HOAs, lovely, requiring help. And a lot of things to be fixed. In your case, we have demonstration gardens that are maintained by our master gardeners volunteers. That means that they need material and they need someone to be making those transactions. But all of that, what I want to say is that it helps taking like a long step and really understand what is underneath all of those individual problems. For example, is it a workload issue? Is it a process issue? We all know sometimes wanting to change could take different steps. Is it a communication issue? Like, what's it mean not telling them what I need? Or they're not telling me what they need, and I kind of guess that. Or is it a training issue? For example, I'm asking them to help me identify these things, but do they really have the knowledge that they need to do that? And also, is it a role definition issue? And that came early on in my program. Well, I'm still early on, but like in my first months, I did have a program specialist, but the tasks were not really defined. So that led me to something different that I want you all to know about this. If you did not know, I started reaching out to Linda Seals. She is a regionalized agent, and I asked her for this specific. I asked her for a SWOT analysis because I've been having these conversations with my volunteers about like, things that I see that are not working since I came from something external to the program, but it really helps to have these facilitated meetings. So what I'm showing you now is the report after working with them, having different sessions. All of this credit is to Linda Seals, Wendy Wilbur, Norma Samuel, Kevin Cam, and Ramona Madosing Hector. So did an excellent job reaching out to the volunteers with a survey and then they work with those answers, and then they met in person, and they have these facilitated sessions where they start working with them, having discussions to really try to see the strengths, the weakness, opportunities, and threats that we have in the program. This was very, very helpful. Again, their names, because they were the ones that did it. If you want to reach out to them, here are the names. Because they really felt heard. It was people coming from Gainesville, for example, Wendy Wilbur. They felt that what they had to say was important enough for someone from the state level coming to our county. So after that, we got our answers, and some of the things we heard from them is that we already had a strong foundation. We had a lot of strong educational mission. We have a group of dedicated volunteers. We have a lot of community relationships and established programs. So the problem wasn't that they know what they came here, the program to do. We're gonna see later what of the challenges were. And here, throughout these slides, I'm gonna be showing you pictures of things that they identify in these sessions, but then also things that we have been working on. So there is gonna be a mix of things in here. For example, we have a strong educational mission. FFL is a great example. We have been working on increasing the capacity that we have from our volunteers to attend those calls from homeowners instead of me or my staff going there. And then the challenges that they had, it was the leadership continuity. Before I joined the program, they were without an agent, I believe, for around 4 to 6 years. So that led to volunteers to do things that they really enjoy doing, even though it did not have a really big impact, if that makes sense. Not trying to say what they did was wrong, but they did not have someone guiding them. And then communication. So in order to fix that challenge, I did not have the time, honestly. So I was just sending them emails with bullet points. We have this coming up, sign up here. But in the change where we were doing all of these, I got a great program specialist, just amazing. And the first thing we were like, we need to improve this. So she created, we worked together, and then finally she's the lead on this. And she sends these weekly communications instead of me sending them random emails when I had the time. So now they know that they are gonna hear from the program every Tuesday. So they get a communication like this, where you have the links and then color coded, something that we just want them to know is happening. If we have a field trip or education opportunity, and then when we need them to sign up. So those are here, the color codes. And then also with road clarity, we have we have committees where we have leads, but sometimes the line is blurry when someone belongs to the committee rather than the lead of the committee. So really work on having those job descriptions. I did not put any of those, sadly, but we have those. And the idea is that now when we train new volunteers, they will have an idea of what we're offering them to do, and hopefully they can get the ones that they like the most. Then, and the opportunities that they identify were partnerships. We have a lot of partnerships that we can use here in our county and also in the neighbor counties. They also wanted to see more visibility. Like, they are spending all this time, like, who knows what they're doing here? They want people to know. So we start working. We have a program. He's our outreach, public outreach, and between us, we're trying to highlight our volunteers that are working here with us. So we're doing something like this, Extension Volunteer Spotlight. And that really helps them to feel seen in the community. Then also talk about training. And then it came the volunteer leadership training. So we attended that. Also for visibility, we're going to the radio. And we're also offering more tours, educational tours. For example, this is 1B, the Change Nursery, where she's a UF graduate, her master's in soil. So she does a great educational value for our field trips. And then they also want to see more youth engagement, and they also want to share their leadership. And that's really what I'm looking for with all of this, because I'm also looking for them to take the initiative. I know it's going to take time, but we have seen that slowly moving forward. And then as part of the threats that they identified, it was there is burnout. And if you work with volunteers, you know that there is always those 5 people that want to do everything, right? So they are carrying most of the workload. They also notice there is a lot of leadership turnover as the agent side here in our county. Also, resource constraints. Sometimes they need something, they don't know where to go. And our agent volunteer base. Most of our volunteers are retired, and I understand that everywhere, but even within that, our group is aging more. And then we have a lot of community demand, which is great, but it's not that great when we do not have a lot of volunteers to help us with that. So then with all of this analysis, the next question was how do we convert a committed workforce into a sustainable workforce? So here again, we had all of those priorities, and we already started working on that. Communication, training, mentorship, shared leadership. So now we have more programs. This one example, we're working with one of our local libraries. We're doing like a seed library. And we have one volunteer that she says she would love to be in charge of that. And I'm like, amazing. I don't know, I have to read emails about this coming from the library. I love it. So that we're working slowly and to also giving them more like confidence about the program. All right. So then I'm so happy because I don't have to do any of this alone. As part of this leadership also means knowing where all my resources are. And I want to show this picture because it was part of my new agent training. I love it. I learned so much. And I have already used people from this cohort to help me with some topics when having presentations. So it is amazing because we have a lot of colleagues here in Extension. We have a lot of institutional resources, like for example, the program that Linda Seals offered. We have subject matter specialists. So easy to go to EDs and find the name of the person that wrote that, and then I'm there asking questions. Also, Master Gardens volunteers. Most of them had like great careers before retiring. So I find myself them giving me good advice, and I'm like, thank you. I don't know why I didn't think about that. And they just smile and they say, it comes with 30 years of experience. I was a manager. So it is really, really good feeling after you have been working with them and really listening. It can be overwhelming. But yeah, so here I'm really focusing on how we can help to develop people, not just recruit them. So yes, we need to think about where like people knew how to get involved, where they had the training they needed, where they felt supported, and where they felt like there were pathways for them to take more than just responsibility or take more responsibility, sorry. And that shift all of my thinking from volunteer recruitment to the workforce. So now I'm really focusing on getting people into the program for things that we need to cover. And yeah, so I think that over time we need all of these people to become leaders themselves. That is my goal. So this one example of one of our volunteers. So she was the president when I started, and she will be doing all of these great insect topics. And I'm like, I love insects. I would love to teach them, but it just brought me joy seeing her do it. And I was like, there will be a time for me to do it later. And also allowing them to do what they like. So yeah, so all of these team-based diagnostic model, what I was looking for is that became very important for all of those diagnostics. So here I'm trying to act as a team. For example, I do not have to check every single message that a homeowner sends to a volunteer. They will just send me or other agents like complex cases or things that they don't understand, but also use our specialists and partners. And then here I wanna talk about referral. So I talk about insect or plant diagnostics. We do not do this at this level in terms of knowing what specific fungi you have in your plant, but most to how we can determine if the damage that you have in your plant is coming from an insect, from is a disease, or is just something abiotic. So here's an example of how we're working here. So we get the questions, we learn to see what we get, what is causing it, and what do the residents should do. Is it worth it to have a management, or should you just replace a plant? And then if you're looking to get a plant, here we integrate our teaching moment where we talk about FFL and tell them about the right plant, right place, and how we can prevent future problems. And all of this most likely will be with plant selection, better practices, and also where to define all of this information. So I'm trying to use our plant clinic more to just identify a problem, but also how we can help them to lower the damage in the future. And then also working with the community as a whole. I've been offering the FFL professional certification. So here I'm teaching like not just our master gardeners volunteers, but also the community and our landscapers in general, because we need more people out there telling people what we do. And it has been great hearing from their side of how sometimes they want to do the right thing, but homeowners want something different. So they send it our way, and then we help them. So it is really good to continue reaching this greater community capacity. So yeah, what I like the most is that we don't have to personally deliver like every service if we can build the knowledge and the skills of the people who influence the community. So yeah, so here also, again, coming to capacity is so important because we have a lot of, we have different things playing here. We have people, system, resources. We have our master gardeners, staff, and professionals. They can help us to disseminate our information and also to teach us. And here I want to show this specific example. Here we team up with a specialist in the UF, but also with the city. And the only thing we had to do is to teach people. And they provide all the resources. They provide all the materials, they provide the logistics. I didn't know that you need a potty train if you want to do a public event. I didn't know that until we had all of these, but we did not have to worry about any of that. So I will really encourage you to use your cities for events. They need for their reports and we need to teach. So it's excellent. And as part of all of those efforts, we have a lot of volunteer hours, like over 9,000 hours. We have reached over 31,000 residents here in San Jose County from last year alone. And this used with them, I forget the name of the page, the public sector value is over $300,000 that we're getting for free from our volunteers alone. And then we also got a community impact award by the Environmental Stewardship Award of the City of Port St. Lucie. So it is so happy to know people are noticing the work that we are doing. But the one I wanted to focus the most is like everything that I have learned is that technical expertise is only the beginning. That we need to ask for help early. I wish I went to Linda in my second day instead of waiting a few months thinking that I could fix some things. Some things that are bigger than us. And then to listen before redesigning. Sometimes we want to jump in early. But yeah, sometimes it's the entire system that is not working, and it is fair for us to suggest a change. Not just start listing the problems that we have, but see if there is like a bigger umbrella or something else that needs to be like have some redesign. And I just want to be sure that my volunteers are going to be able to do everything they want to do alone. So for that comes a lot of training and trusting them. And with that, I want to end with that you do not have to know everything. And that I want to introduce you to Terry. She is my prime specialist. She's amazing. And I wish we all have one Terry in your lives. But yeah, So I just want to show you all of these, and that we have a lot of resources here within UF that we can go for help if we need. So yeah, I think that's my presentation. I may be over the time.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Great presentation.